Okay. I'd apologize, but I needed to sort of fill in the blanks for a bit as to why we take a different approach here to the situations of coming to understand Eros and the influence of Eros on the future of our civilization and our understanding of ourselves, and appreciating that the human being is a divine instrument of love and all the rest of that, okay? And the reason we maybe talk about the new feminine mysteries is because we live in a different time. You know, the time in which the old ideas of the feminine mysteries and the goddess religions existed way in the past before the paternalistic point of view began to dominate cultures in the days before Western civilization sort of came to being, in the days of maybe the Egyptians and the Hebrews and the Chaldeans and the Babylonians and stuff like that. The goddess was a more important figure. And then with Greek and Roman Empire and that transition to the present day Western civilization, you had a substitution and a kind of elimination of the goddess element. And when Christianity came into being and the Roman Church united itself with when the Catholic Church united itself with the Roman Empire, that became very, very paternalistic in its structure, and lots of sad things have happened as a result of that, one of which was the elimination of an understanding of the divine feminine, and that's one of the things that's in the book The Mists of Avalon, which I pointed to earlier. And you can also get some of that in Ursula Le Guin's book The Dispossessed, which I talk about in another part of my videos on becoming a wizard. Okay, so finally, we're going to get into the three-body structure: spirit, soul, body. Okay? And we're not going to impose anything, we're just going to make observations, and I wanted to give you a reason, with all the rants before about what science can do and what it doesn't do very well, a reason to sort of step outside of that approach to things and recognize that when you make your own observations of your own self, you're doing something that the psychologist and the physiologist and the students of consciousness wearing their white coats and telling us what to think haven't done. They don't study themselves. They try to study things outside themselves, and they actually mess up the causal logic in relationship to what that means. But anyway, spirit, soul, and body. All right? So, now these are going to be a little bit rough, but anyway, let's start with this, okay? You're probably sitting down watching this. I mean, maybe you're standing up, I don't know, but you're probably sitting down watching this. Okay, and there you are, you know, your body is there and it feels gravity, it feels sort of weight, you know. And you can raise your hand up, you can overcome gravity through your own activity. And you can do it on purpose. I'm raising my hand up, right? It's a very simple thing. I'm raising my hand up and I can reach out and I can touch, okay, and I can touch. I got a book here, touch myself. You know, or maybe I'm watching this with my friend, you know. I can reach out and touch my friend, you know. And they will have an experience when they get touched. The book won't have an experience. Well, it might, depending on your point of view, but basically, you know what I mean. Your friend will have an experience, okay? We have an experience when we move, when we overcome gravity with our movements. We have an experience when we touch and when we are touched. And we have an experience just sitting, we feel weight, or maybe we're a little bit intoxicated. You know, maybe we had a beer or two, or smoked a joint. Who knows, you know, what's going on when somebody's watching this video. But anyway, we're having this experience, and I'm going to talk about what might be called the field of experience. All right? Or what the natural scientist sometimes talks about when he talks about consciousness. Experience, you have to be consciousness, you have to be conscious of the experience to have an experience, right? Now that field of consciousness, that experience, when you move or when someone touches you, you have these experiences. Now, that happens in what I'm calling the soul. Now, a lot of other stuff happens in the soul. A lot of other stuff. And the whole field of psychology is about all that stuff, even though it has a very materialistic point of view about it. It's all about that stuff, We have complexes, we have feelings, this kind of the content of our experience, of our conscious experience, and our or subconscious experience. All those things are there too, Somebody pushes a button on us. We have this language, oh, my button got pushed. Well, you don't have a button, right? But you do have in a soul life. And when somebody touches a wound, which is the way I talk about it, in that soul life, we can get really upset because it's a tender spot. When we have a wound of soul, it's a tender spot. And when somebody pokes it, they push our button. Okay, that's the way we express it. But there's no button there. There's just a wound in the soul that gets touched. So you have a marriage relationship, and the people in the marriage relationship go around and they have these psychological wounds that come from childhood and stuff, and the button gets pushed, and the next thing you know, you're having a cat fight. Okay? Now this is very basic stuff, but it's very important basic stuff. Okay? So soul is what appears in our experience and in our conscious experience, and also those things which lie below the level of consciousness that are subconscious or unconscious, that also influence what goes on in the consciousness. That's all soul. And things that come through the senses. Remember earlier I talked about how you warm a woman up from the inside out and a man from the outside in. These are the dynamics we're going to talk about. The man gets warmed up through the senses. The woman gets warmed up through the deeper aspects of her soul and spiritual nature, through her feeling life. Okay? So, that's soul. And soul is humongous. And regardless of what anybody says and writes in any book and so on and so forth, the person that has the most access to their soul life is you. It's yours. Belongs to you. We keep secrets. We have things we don't want other people to know. That's our soul. Okay? Now I'm going to pause here, go on to the next thing.